Hi there, welcome back to part 2 of Forgiveness with Nene. Welcome back to Just Swallow the Pill. I am Brandy Yvette. And again, my good friend here, Nene. So, the funny thing is Nene and I, we literally have these conversations on the phone. So I've probably talked to Nene more than anyone in my whole life. Like, we talk like 4 or 5 times a day sometimes.
That's true.
And so literally,
any new update?
Girl, guess what? Girl, I got an email, girl.
I just found my pinky toe.
It'll just be something as, girl, I just got gas.
Yeah.
Girl, for $2. Girl, less than $2 today. It'll just be just anything that happens. This is like my person. So we literally like call each other all the time. And so I wanted to give you guys a glimpse in on one of the conversations that her and I have quite often, which is about forgiveness. And if you guys tuned in last week, we talked about forgiving another person for the trauma that they caused in your life. But this week for part 2, we're going to talk about forgiving yourself. Excuse me. And a lot of times we forget that we forget about ourselves like a lot. We are patient with other people. We give people so much love. We are loyal to other people.
Right.
We give so much to other people, and we forget that we have to come first. And one of those things that I think has to be done before you can even work towards forgiving someone else is forgiving yourself for the role that you played in the situation. And you guys know I've been very open about my very dysfunctional marriage and how it started. And you guys have heard my story if you tuned into season 1. If you have not, you got a whole lot to catch up on. But with that said, before I could forgive my ex-husband for anything, I literally had to reflect on myself and my role and hold myself accountable for the things that I did, not necessarily within the marriage, but just the whole situation, like everything as a whole. And I know when I first got divorced, or when word started getting out to family that I was getting a divorce, I was hearing a lot of things that I needed to hear. I just wasn't ready. And so one of those things was, you shouldn't have married him in the first place. And I wasn't ready to hear that. So
that's the last thing you feel like hearing.
Yeah. And so I know it was just very difficult to hear it, but I knew deep down like it was true. Or even if I didn't realize it was true at that time, it was something, it was true.
Well, there were signs there. There was something that was indicating, like, use caution or, don't proceed or stop. And you like to, especially with people that we care about, people that we love, people that we grow to love, is we want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
I think especially with women, we are innately or inheritedly giving the benefit of the doubters.
Right.
I will coin that phrase.
Right.
We will give you the benefit of the doubt until you just show your entire, way.
Right. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. And so it wasn't until I came to the realization, like, hold up, like, damn, I shouldn't have married that. I shouldn't have married him. And then once I realized, wow, okay, I shouldn't have did that, that's when it was like, okay, and of course at first you beat up on yourself.
Yes.
And so I beat up on myself for a long time. Like, damn, girl, like, But then you have to think like, but you didn't know. Like, you can't beat yourself up for not knowing, you know? And once I realized, damn, like, yes, I had signs, but my perspective back then was very different.
Right, when your mindset is very different and your maturity level, and maybe you haven't dated that many guys. Maybe, I mean, this is your first marriage, right? You guys were best friends.
Right.
And I know with my situation is that I was shown a completely different person. This very well-dressed, you know, career-oriented, caring, protective, loving man. And then it was like a whole tsunami of a 360, right? So you only know what people are going to show you, how much they're going to show you, how open they're going to be with you. And when you end up falling for that person or caring for that person, then you tend to believe more of what they say. Of course, you should believe what they're doing as well. There are signs, like there were signs, there were things that were very questionable. And then when you ask the person about it, you trust their word.
Right.
That's the thing. You're trusting what's coming out of their mouth, that they are who they say they are, because you care about them. And when you're naturally already a caring person, and that's how I am, I'm naturally a caring person. Like, you're a human being, I'm a human being. I care about you just based off that fact.
Right.
So I was, you know, a lot younger at that point in my life, and I was only had one other really, really serious relationship. And he was a little bit older than me. My child's father is a little bit older than me. I shouldn't say a little bit. I would just say by a few years. I'm not gonna be too mad. By a few years, right? So, but the kicker is I did not know. He actually lied to me about that.
Right.
And he did not tell me until I was pregnant. So, of course, that is a huge red flag, right?
Yeah.
But at that point,
I mean, you already.
What are you gonna do with it?
The bun is already in the oven.
The bun is already in the oven. It's cooking. It's ready to come out. Like, so what do I do with that information? Again, forgive that person, right?
Right.
You forgive that person of that situation. They're telling you, I will not lie again. I will yada, yada, yada. And things are like, okay, I'm in love with this person. I'm about to have their child. Okay, we can move past and we can move forward, right?
Right.
But then, boom, you know, something else happens.
Right.
So it's just a situation where you believe this.
Right.
Like you said, you know, you're believing him.
Right.
And everything he's saying. And when he does something, you're forgiving and you're believing in that. But then you know there's something just not right.
Right. Right.
Women always know. So men, take notes if you're listening. We always know when something is not right. It could be the smallest little white lie, or it can be the hugest lie you have ever told a person in the whole wide world. We know something.
We have that innate.
It's all in here.
It
we
is.
Get anxiety. We get a little bit stressed out. When you're around us, we feel a little uneasy. Something's stirring, and what happens in the dark will come to the light, especially when it comes to the situations like this. And now this is not a man bashing situation.
No,
this
not
is
at
just
all.
what we've gone through. And I'm sure we can share our experiences with friends.
Right.
We can share our experiences with family members as well. But we're talking about something that really, really shaped us both in terms of trauma.
Right.
And when we learned the true meaning of forgiveness.
Right. Exactly. And so it's almost like you have to forgive yourself for forgiving this other person time and time again after they, you know. So for me, I had to forgive myself for not listening to the signs.
Right. Right.
I had to forgive myself for forgiving him over and over again. I had to forgive myself for so many things. And again, like the forgiveness that you have given the other person, it just takes time.
It does.
But
Time is of the essence.
I would say, yeah, it is. I would say I felt so much better when I forgave myself. I felt like, okay, like you didn't know, and now you know better. So now you can do better. Now here's what to look for. And trust and believe, girl, you will not go through this again. You will not go through this again. Like, please believe, like. And so for me now, Even for the littlest things though, like, you know, I find myself stopping, like, for instance, you know how it could be the littlest thing, like with chores, okay? So you get up and say, I'm gonna clean the whole house today. And then you
Unrealistic.
Right. And then you get up, eat, lay back down, and next thing you know, it's 5:00.
Yes.
And you ain't clean nothing.
Nothing.
I forgive myself. I have to stop and be like, okay, girl, like, forgive you. Like, don't beat yourself up. Like, forgive yourself. I think that it's important that you do it with the little things. So when something big happens, you're already in those habits of forgiving yourself. You know, even if it's, you know what, I'm not going to go into Forever 21 and buy anything. And then next thing you know, I'm walking out with, you know, $80 worth of clothes and I'm like, all right. So we did what we said, what we were not going to do. And I take a moment when I get in the car, I'm like, all right. You know, so like I said, when you do it with little things, when big things happen, you're already kind of in that habit of forgiving yourself for just for anything, really. And what I also have grown to realize, we disappoint ourselves all the time. So disappointment is bound to happen.
Yes, it is. It's with anything. Disappointment happens with people, with yourself. But the number one thing in order to be able to move forward is to forgive yourself in those little situations and those big things.
Right.
And in my situation and what I had to deal with in my trauma is, before this, I mean, I've had some significant things happen to me, but this really shaped how I viewed a lot of things. This shaped how I viewed men. This shaped how I viewed parenting. This shaped how I viewed people in general. It really shaped a lot of different things. So what I felt was like, okay, I have to forgive him. I have to forgive him. And I was forgetting the part of I have to forgive myself, because you do start to beat yourself up. So if there's any single parents out there, there's going to come a point, whether you're a single father or you're a single mother or you're a grandmother raising somebody or you're a mentor raising someone and you're doing it all on your own, you realize that you have to come to the point where you can't beat yourself up for choosing, especially being a parent, a biological parent, for choosing that person that you had a child with. So I would say that is the number one thing that I'm continuously working on. I have not fully forgiven myself for doing so. Now, again, did I think I was choosing the right partner? Absolutely.
Right.
Did I think that I was making the right decision? Absolutely. So I know those things. I know that if I were to foresee this situation, that of course I wouldn't proceed. Like,
right.
Who would in their right mind do that?
Right.
But I'm still in the process of not beating myself up for choosing what I felt like maybe was the wrong fit. Now, if it was someone else, I would have a totally different child, right? So that's where I'm like, I absolutely love my child. I love his personality. I love his mentality, how intelligent he is, how outspoken he is. And he gets that from both sides. So I can't deny that greatness and that part of him. But it's, do I do this again? Right?
No, we ain't finna do this again.
No, it's, do I have a child again?
Oh.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yes.
Yeah.
So think about this too. Do you get married again? Right? Do you?
Yeah. How do you let somebody in again?
Exactly. Right. How do you let somebody in that is probably way more deserving than that first person that you had that situation with, right? Because I could very well, you fall in love or whatever the case is, and you get married, you have another child, but I have to heal in that. Right. I have to fully forgive myself in order for that to manifest back into my life, or the same thing might manifest back into my life.
Right. And
the same thing.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I like that you said that, because you can't continue to focus on what you don't want, because you can inadvertently get that exactly what you don't want. So we don't want to we don't want to do that.
We don't want to do that.
But you know what? Another person that I I don't know if I can call him a person, but I had to forgive God too. I had to forgive God. That was big. That was huge. Like, cause I was angry with him too. I was angry with everybody. You hear me? Everybody. I was angry with my ex-husband, myself, and God. And I had to forgive God too. That was another tough one.
That's heavy, but I understand where you're coming from, because especially if you're a person that, 110% has faith in God and that he will lead your pathway and he will not put more on you than you can bear. And then you got some stuff on you like, I can't bear this. What happened? What happened to you can't put more than you can bear? Like, what happened? Because I'm bearing it and I'm like ready to weigh down.
Right.
Like, what is going on? So I had to, again, I process things where I have to stop and I have to listen to myself. And I have to say that it's just kind of like that story with that boat.
With Jonah?
Yes.
Child, Jonah was a fool, honey.
We are all fools. Okay? God will be like,
we are all fools.
Yeah, well, here's that sign. And you're thinking, no, that ain't it. Well, here's another one. No, but or sometimes, child, here's another one.
But sometimes, in Jonah's case, it was blatant disobedience.
But this time, though, it's always going to be our instinct.
Well,
God is not going to like a physical thing. Well, sometimes it's physical.
Yeah,
right?
Sometimes it is.
But I think the reason why
most of the time is actions most of the time, it's like situations.
Right, it's actions. Yes.
That we are in that give us the lights. But but what we do,
we walk around like this.
We make excuses, right?
I can't see.
And we give the other person, no, it can't be that. No, he's not lying. He's just he's just experiencing his own trauma.
Right.
And he's just hurt. And
Right.
Right.
And that's exactly what it is. But that's God saying, no, sis.
Right.
No, daughter. No.
Right.
No, this is why I gave you a spirit. This is why I gave you that feeling in your soul, in your chest when things are uneasy. That's why I've given that to you as a human being.
Right.
Is because of those things. It's because I'm not going to bring a physical boat to you, but I will bring someone's actions. And so right now, I am still in the process.
Oh, wait a minute. Time out. You talking about the boat with the man in the flood?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. But I know
not
what you're
Jonah.
talking.
You weren't talking about Jonah.
Well, it doesn't matter. Either way.
But let's name him Peter.
Okay.
So Peter was in the flood. I don't know if y'all know. So Peter, I don't like Peter. Let's call him Billy. Billy.
That is not better, but that's okay.
Billy was in the flood, y'all. And so Billy climbed on top of the roof, honey, and asked the Lord to save him. And the Lord sent a boat. And then Billy was like, no.
God's going to come and save me.
God's going to come and save me. And then he sent something else. I don't know what the something else was.
It was several different things. Hell, it could have been a helicopter.
No, the helicopter was the last thing.
I don't know the order.
And then the man, I don't know. Both came
died,
first.
Right? He died.
He did
die.
die.
Like, God, why didn't you
She saved me. He was like, I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. Like, what else do you want?
So here's the thing, too, is that we expect this miracle, right? So the first time. So Jesus Christ came down, right? Okay, so I would say in the Old Testament, not to get too biblical, but in the Old Testament, God did these miraculous things.
Right, he did.
Right? As Jehovah, or some other people may call it a different name, but several different names came down, miraculous, right? The plague and freeing the slaves out of Egypt. And then he came down the second time as Jesus Christ, right? And in the flesh and saying, hey, I'm going to save you, and did these miraculous things. This time, people are looking for these miraculous signs.
Right.
And if you are a religious person, you believe in the Bible, and if you read Revelations, these are not the times. he's not going to, now he will send blessings and things that will happen that seems like miracles, right? But he's not coming down on a white horse, and he's not going to pick us up and remove us from the situation and then ride us on this white horse and set us back down. That's not the situation. And that's why things like this, like forgiveness in yourself and other people, are essential. And that's why forgiveness is talked about in the Bible so much. That's why it's talked about probably in every religion I could even think of, even self-love, these things, because we have to learn how to do it ourselves. Right. We have to learn how to do it ourselves. So while I have forgiven my trauma and my situation and the father of my child, I am still in the process of making sure that I forgive myself and I keep myself, how should I say, happy in the sense of my soul and my spirit and physically and everything like that, to say, be kind to yourself. You know, that's simple. It's just as simple as that. That's a daily thing. Everyone needs to be kind to themselves.
Talk good about yourself to yourself.
Right.
That was one of the things in forgiveness too. And forgiving yourself is part of self-care. I'm glad you said that, because I'm all about self-care. I'm all about, talking to yourself and understanding where thoughts come from, speaking good about yourself. So again, we'll give someone else a compliment but look in the mirror and insult ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so we got to stop doing things like that as people in general, because that hurts our self-esteem. We're so busy uplifting other people that we're forgetting about ourselves. And it's like, is it really genuine though? Like, is it really genuine that you're giving it to someone else, but you can't give it to yourself? Right. Like, is it really that genuine? It's almost like love. Like, how can you love me if you don't love yourself?
Absolutely. Because you have what love do you really have to give? Right.
And how can you forgive me if you haven't forgiven yourself? It's the same thing. Like, why are you okay with forgiving someone else for something that they did? It should start with you. It should absolutely, you come first. And that's one thing that I've had to learn throughout. Excuse me. I drank some soda before we started recording, y'all. I'm sorry. But that's something that we have to learn how to do. And I'm still learning how to do things like say no. I'm still learning how to put myself first in some ways, because I will allow someone to continue to do things to me or not come through for me like I need them to. But I come through for them all the time, hoping that they'll see how loyal I am and want to all of a sudden start to be loyal. And I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Again, setting expectations for someone else that continuously lets you know, I'm sorry, your expectations are too high for me. I'm never going to meet that. Right. And time again. And that's how we start depleting ourselves, and we have no other room to forgive ourselves for anything. So while I'm continuously depleting myself, I have no room for myself. Right. I have no room to give back to myself, no energy. I'm sitting here tired and I'm like, I haven't even done anything all day. But you're mentally tired. You know, we can definitely exhaust ourselves mentally. And that's another reason why I realized in my situation that I had to forgive my child's father, and I have to forgive myself, because it began to deplete from me mentally. I became mentally exhausted, which we know what can lead to stress, depression, and body ache, and different things like that. And how can I be healthy for myself and for my child and for those around me that love me so much if I'm constantly thinking, oh, this person's going to change, this person. There's no, at some point you just got to cut it. Right. You won't get the apology that you need. You won't be able to sit down with them and have an intelligent conversation. Right. And then, sometimes you want to sit down with that person and be like, they're just going to tell me everything. Right. They're going to tell me when they lied about this. They're going to tell me this. And
they're never going to do it.
It's like talking to a brick wall. So you have to just be okay with that, and you have to move forward. We do not have that much time here on earth. Right. We would like to believe that we do, but we don't. So we have to start with ourselves.
Right. Very well said. And that is going to end our discussion on forgiveness. I want to thank Nini for joining us to these last 2 weeks and for allowing us a little window in on her life and her progress with forgiveness. If you have not already done so, follow me on Instagram at Brenda Yvette. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Just swallow the pill. And if you have a topic that you would like to hear on Just Swallow the Pill, or if you want to share your story with me, email me at thedifficultpill@gmail.com. And as I always say, what do I always say? Your crown is not on your head. It is in your soul. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you guys next week.
Peace.
Do just what you want.